It's a vibration.
Ooh, I like it.
You got to wait for the drop. Then we'll bring it in for the people. They rely on this. It's how we get the party started.
It's for the people.
And
that's who it's for.
Hey.
Do they get to see the dancing?
No, we're not on video yet, but
Good.
Welcome back to Spill Your Guts podcast with Rachel and Mandi. But today, there is no Rachel.
Oh,
she's on holiday.
Sad. She's on holiday.
Holiday with Poopsie. She's having a great time. So I have a very, very, very extra especial guest host today with us, Christine McDonough.
Oh my God. It's too much. It is just too much.
It's not. Hello, bitch. Welcome to Spill Your Guts. I hope you're ready.
If I'm not, who cares? We'll figure it out. We got this.
You're allowed to cuss on this one. We are rated explicit. It's fine.
You guys have already killed that.
And Jesse. How are you doing over there, bud?
Excuse me, it's Mr. Bandwagon.
Mr. Bandwagon. Yes. That's been my favorite thing this week, actually, getting Christine ready to come on and be on the podcast with us. She's referred to Jesse as Mr. Bandwagon several times, and I don't think I'm going to call you anything else now going forward.
I can take Mr. Bandwagon.
Although she did say bandy cakes, which I was a big fan of that one. That should be the hashtag.
Good. We're definitely going with bandy cakes.
I can edit whatever I want, guys.
Gosh dang it. Well, Christine McDonough, you are one of my favorite human beings on planet Earth. Thank you so much for being willing to come on and guest host with me today. How the hell are you,
Thank you for
lady?
having me. I can't take all this, you're the best. It feels uncomfortable, so thank you.
I know.
We'll leave it at that.
I know, and that's why I'm heaping it on real heavy. So, Christine, remind me, and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. Who the hell are you? Why are you on here? How did I strong arm you into this?
Wowzers.
Ready, go. 1, 2, 3.
Well, I was born on September 30th, 1986 at 8:38 a.m.
The finest Libra that I've ever known.
The finest
Cheers.
of Libras. But in all seriousness, we met because of our fitness journeys, respectively, which is pretty rad. And
oh, my God.
I don't know, I always, when I learned of you and started following you on the social media as it is, I became a big fan, and I didn't even know that we were fangirling each other behind closed doors.
I was lurking.
I was a voyeur, bitch.
She followed me, but I was already following. So
yeah,
we did meet. We did meet because of our fitness journey. We were both managers of gyms in the same fitness world.
Yep.
And I will say that I did watch this woman win.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I'm saying it. She won a very prestigious award in this organization that we worked for that really just set the bar for me personally, because then a few years later I snagged the same award, and now we have this weird fraternity.
You sure did.
We have a weird fraternity of elder prestigious award winners that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. We meet once every 3 years.
To us.
To us.
To us. But all jokes aside, seriously, you have been one of the most dynamic coaches I've gotten to work with, honestly. Certainly one of the most important leaders that I choose to continue to center my leadership experience around. And so tell me a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah, well, actually, so can I go into, part of who I am is what got me into fitness?
You know what?
So if I could...
I want you to spill your guts.
Would you mind if I spilt my guts?
Take a moment to spill.
So I grew up as an athlete, and that was rad. And I was but not only an athlete, I was good at that, and that was cool. But I also was 7 different jobs. I was in a ton of groups at school. I was very into my youth group. And then I got to college, and I could have walked onto a team of sorts if I had wanted to do that, but I really had just lost steam. And I was like, you know what? I just want the traditional experience. Because when you work that hard at all those directions, you just don't get a vacation, you know?
Yes.
So I was 17 in college, just being like, I just want to party, and not like excessively, but just like enjoy the collegiate experience.
You
and
didn't,
that
yeah,
I
you
did.
didn't want the pressure that
But
came
then I
with all
went
that.
to yeah. Oh boy, it was just a cooker ready, right? And so instead of it actually exploding, I cut it off before it was able to. And then, but that like pendulum swung the complete other way. And my college, university was 5 years. So by my senior year, I almost didn't graduate because I was so depressed.
Wow.
And it was because of the lack of community, because of the lack of movement, because of the lack of spirituality, like all these things. I didn't realize that in the moment. This is only in retrospect. And then I futzed about in my 20s for a while, you know, doing the thing, like living in the city with friends and partying and just having a good time and what we call avoiding.
Can't relate.
Then,
Can't relate.
Yeah, no idea. Feels so foreign. Have no idea. And then in September 19th of 2011, I woke up and the scale was like the highest number I've ever seen after avoiding it for months and months and months. And I was like, this can't be. I used to be this athlete that, and now I'm playing Wii tennis, going into a full body seizure because I'm so out of shape, right?
God dang it.
And like when you're sore,
I've been going hard on that Wii tennis too, so I get you.
Girl,
I get you.
Came so close to throwing the remote through the screen of this, like the people that I nannied for. Shout out Cannings, what's up? And so it just was like this wake up call, right? And so the next day I joined Weight Watchers and I joined a Planet Fitness. And it was just like, I realized I only knew how to be an athlete. Like I only knew how to go and, you know, run a mile as fast as I could and not just like go on a walk and enjoy it. So I really had to start kind of teaching myself what's up. And that's where like the fitness came. And essentially what got me into the fitness industry was I just never wanted anybody to struggle as much. Like if I could help one person shave a second off of their fitness journey, I'm in. Right. So that's what got me in there. And then it ballooned from there. Like I just wanted a community. I wanted someplace, because my whole thought was like, well, if you liked walking into the gym doors and you liked the people that you were seeing, whether the coaches or the people in your small group, chances are you're going to come more. And it doesn't have to be a perfect program. That took a while to learn, but it doesn't have to be the perfect bicep curl. Like I just need consistency out of you. So if we're doing a fitness challenge, or we're doing a food drive or a coat drive, or we're doing a community 5K, right? You're going to show up and results are going to follow after that. So that's...
Oh my God, where do I sign up? Do you guys see?
Right?
Do you see what's happening here? Gosh dang it. The magic.
And that's how I sold a ton of memberships. All of them, in fact.
I'm not worthy. Listen, Rachel and I talk. I mean, I know you know. I know you're an avid listener.
Oh my God.
And you know, because the three of us have been up late at nights having these like conversations already. But wouldn't you say that like already being like who you are as a dynamic leader, like you took that leadership from athletics and being an athlete into fitness, into your career, you know, in fitness with, you know, trainers and your staff that you had at multiple times. And wouldn't you say that I call fitness kind of the gateway drug to wellness?
Yeah.
And like this bigger, like, you know, woo-woo conversation we're having here. So can you kind of share with us, spill your guts a little bit on how fitness sort of opened up into like more of what you're doing now and
for sure,
like holistic wellness?
No doubt. So like the gateway drug is so perfect, right? Because fitness is so accessible. And like, I know, you know, you'd always get in the industry that we're in, like a Planet would move down the street and you'd get terrified because it's like, oh, a $10 membership. Yeah. But they made it more accessible for people who were scared to spend $40 or $50 on their membership, right? So it just, that brand awareness, that fitness awareness got out there. And once they stopped seeing results there, well, you're looking for the next thing, right?
Exactly.
So I'd say that like fitness is part of that self-care gateway drug, if you will. And like when people would sit down, you remember like those conversations where you're like, what brought you in here today?
Yeah. Yep.
And so many people, I ended up like, at some point I had this line. I'm like, if I had my way, I'd be with you in your house for a month before I even set you in a gym. But that's not how this happened. You came here first because it's more accessible. It's more commonplace and familiar to walk into a YMCA or a Planet Fitness or a gym or Orange Theory, right?
Right. Like an established
Than it is
place.
to be like, right, to go to a nutritionist or to go to a dietitian or a life coach or somebody that's going to like help you in another way.
Totally. I was just explaining this to somebody this week that it's interesting to, like, as a coach or a trainer or in the fitness world, it feels like, how can I, package this up and offer this, right, when it's really truly free. Anybody could Google like the steps that you need to take to like begin a fitness journey, or to, maybe start just making small healthy steps, right? Like, we live in this information age where it's like all available, literally.
Sure.
And yet, ... The missing thing is that community, that belonging, that accountability, the coaching. That is really what it's about. Like, anybody can look up a workout or a diet plan, but it's this whole other, thing that's missing as human beings that really kind of made that experience different. So tell me how that then sort of like opened up even bigger for you with the people that you're coaching in your community.
Yeah. So it really is, I consider myself now a holistic wellness coach, because holistic being, not that I need you to take a green shake or whatever it looks like, whatever that word triggers for you, but more as like, we're looking at it as a whole system, right? Like, you can't be beating your ass in the gym and not sleeping and not recovering and not having rest days and see results. Just as you can't, like, I also don't want my clients to follow a strict diet, because I did that for too long and that fucked with me in a whole different way, right? So it's really looking at the whole thing. Preach.
I just raised my glass.
Yeah. So it's looking at everybody's different. Like, there's stuff that we all share in common, and there's like obviously broad strokes of wellness that you can ask somebody to follow, but it's all customized.
Yeah. So it's like,
and a lot of it turns out, it's like the biggest thing I have to tackle with people is like self-worth.
Oh, there it is.
The foundation of that pyramid.
The core wound.
Yeah.
Bless.
When did that start hurting?
Since I got here around 1982. Let's talk about that later.
Yeah.
No, but you know what's cool about this is that, like, this is why I was so excited to have you on, because our journeys are so parallel.
Yeah.
And about the time that I mean, the way you just explained your fitness journey, it really, really is a lot like mine. They're different, but it's the same in some ways. And so I think for me, when I've talked about this before on the podcast, the TiVo bump,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So you can only lead as far as you've gone, right?
Yeah.
So once I personally sort of began to explore the self-worth, the actual inside stuff. Once I, learned from my trainers and my gym peeps about the workouts and the consistency and the making peace with food and the making peace with my body stuff, it really all like started going inward and getting focused more inward. And that's when I really started to searching for more. Like more. Suddenly, like the fitness piece just like wasn't enough. I had reached my TiVo bump on my own personal growth. Right. But I didn't realize it at the time. Like, I'm able to say this now in hindsight, kind of recognizing it. And so that's when I started to explore Reiki, which I've talked about on the podcast. And I've, shared with people that I am certified as a Reiki Master. But I pursued my Reiki certification for myself. I never pursued it to offer it to clients or anything. I do have it as like a tool in my toolbox. Yep. Right. But I was so excited to have you on here today, because I'm like, not only are you the fitness queen to me, But
Thank you so much.
you're also a Reiki master and you are a teacher, and that's a big part of your practice. So I want to like kind of put the spotlight on you for a second. I want you to talk about how did we get from fitness queen to Reiki master, teaching retreats all over the place and being a general badass?
For sure. 2018, I was dumped. Thank you, Anthony. Loved it. Promptly, not quite a year, but I got into therapy because I realized like after like, I think it was like 9 or 10 months of just futzing around and, all right, I'm single now. Let me just have a fun summer. And then that winter got super dark.
Right. Like, as it does.
We are lonely. So I was like, all right. So I found a therapist through a client, a personal training client. And she told me that she's a licensed LICSW, but she was also a Reiki practitioner and added Reiki in. So pretty dope. You got to do talk therapy, psychoanalytics, cognitive behavioral, right? All in the front end. And then she would do the last 20 minutes of a Reiki session. And after the first one, I was like, how do I get more?
Right.
How do I make this?
So tell me about that. Tell me about that, because a lot of people like have heard me talk about it, right?
For sure.
But they've never experienced it for themselves. And I always, I actually don't really know. How would you explain what Reiki is to people?
Your Reiki elevator pitch?
Yeah. Exactly. How
Give
do
it
you
to me in
explain
30
it?
seconds.
But first tell me what that was like for you your first time. Like, what did that feel like? What was that made you go, ooh, I want more of that?
Well, first of all, right? Like, I think there's power in like front loading it with the like, okay, I know I'm here for therapy.
Right. The work, right?
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
So like starting to be honest and letting these like, spilling my guts to somebody. There's therapy and a therapeutic use of that.
Yes.
Which is why I think what you and Rachel are doing is so pivotal, because even in just sharing your truth, whether, you're motivating people to feel comfortable enough to do the same, right? So that's cathartic.
Thank you.
Then end it with, you're welcome. Let's take pause. Thank you.
I received that. Because that is the
Somebody's
intention.
got to, because I tried to steamroll through your
answers.
So that was great. And then in Reiki, what it is it's a form of energy healing. And ultimately, no matter what you believe in, because like I went into it kind of I wouldn't say a skeptic, but like then when I started going through the changes, I was like one eye open, like, is this real? Mm-hmm. Is this shit happening? Right?
Absolutely. I still feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, that's what the spiritual journey is. It's like, did I really just meditate that whole thing, and
dude,
all that?
Yes. Thank you for saying that, because I think, especially in like a leadership position, people like just kind of think you like know it all and kind of have it all together and have every answer. And I'm like, no, literally, we're still all hanging on by the tips of our fingernails. Yeah. Trying to figure this out. So thank you for saying that. Yeah. Because it's good.
Well, and I think it was one of your early episodes about spirituality, and you and Reach were talking about how like, don't get it twisted. We're just a couple lessons ahead of you, if that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, much like back to the whole, like, you can only lead as far as you've gone. I'm constantly hoping I can learn, but at some point I've got to take pause and realize, like, I'm not, Tony Robbins says, like, I'm not your guru. Like, I'm not your leader for this.
Yes.
So I've got this web of people that I'm going to ship you off to, because, like, I can only take you so far.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. But so with that said, it's like, I know it's my corner, right? But like, there's so much in this space, and there's so much beauty in the community and the sharing of the stories, where that's where the power is. Cause then you realize, well, maybe I'm not nuts, or I am nuts and a little woo woo too.
Woo-woo adjacent. That's what we're calling. So you would describe Reiki then to somebody who's like maybe never even heard of it. You would say this is a form of energy healing.
Yep. It's definitely, I mean, it comes from Japan. So we're talking like definitely Eastern medicine, right? Alternative medicine, medical medical institutions like John Hopkins, they're all starting to actually give weight to Reiki and validate it, which is really cool. So when we're talking from that standpoint, I would say there is definitely a healing in that. At the very least, if you lie down on a Reiki table for an hour, you're going to feel less stress. Your blood pressure is going to lower. And there's a benefit to that in and of itself, right?
Right.
Cut to, right. So like there's that. And that's the very muggle like Western world
Muggle.
answer. However,
I love that. I love that you said that. No, definitely. I mean, it definitely like triggers the parasympathetic nervous system. Right. And helps people to kind of switch over into that rest and digest and experience like the physical relief, which I think is confusing to people sometimes because have you ever like encountered people who are like, I don't get it. I got a Reiki massage and they didn't even touch me.
Yeah.
And they don't understand like what's going on.
What kind of parlor were you looking for, buddy? It's hands off. I don't want it.
It's a telltale sign.
Kick rocks, pal.
So you know, scientifically, like research kind of points to all that stuff, which is why we are seeing it recognized as more of a universal modality instead of like being dismissed with an eye roll, right?
Right. Well, that and Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop special on Netflix.
Bless. Gosh dang, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Long live Gwyneth, huh?
I guess.
Again, it's like it's bringing eyes and attention to it. So I'm thankful in that, right? Yeah.
Totally. How about spiritually then? How would you sort of like onboard somebody into what Reiki provides spiritually?
Yeah. Excellent question. So glad you asked it. So there's this whole thing of like, I've joked around and used terms like I'm a Sherpa for muggles, right? So there are people that come to my website or they call me and they email me and they know what's up. They've heard about Reiki. Their crazy aunt did it to them once when they were 17 and they're looking for that high again. I'm like, great. And that's cool because that's its own ball of wax. I love bringing the newbies that really don't know what the fuck is happening. And they're like, I heard about it. I'm interested. What do you got?
Yeah.
And I'll actually in those sessions, I'll bring out more things like that are tangible, like crystals or like tarot or oracle decks, because it's something tangible that you can actually see.
Right.
Right. I'm a recovering Catholic. I grew up in that realm for a long time.
I can relate.
Yeah.
Many conversations.
Yours was an evangelical type, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. But you and me and Jesus, we've had this talk. We're good.
We got the Lord. But all that to say that I will say that, you know, when you're asked to grow up in a religion, you're asked to believe in something that isn't of this earth, right? And so my parents had devout spirituality. It did form itself in Catholicism.
Right.
And they believe, and that's great. They allowed me, because even in high school, I was like, I don't know, you guys. And that was me as like, I was in youth group.
Right.
Like I was leading retreats and doing it.
Yeah.
But they let me explore Buddhism and Taoism and all this stuff. But sorry, I digress. Like I went on a huge tangent.
No, spill your guts. That's what this is.
But so like Reiki can work on the physical level, the spiritual level, and the emotional level. It can work past, present, and future because time isn't real. That's a whole nother podcast. With that said, like if you have emotional trauma that happened when you were young or, you know, in 2018 with the breakup, I'm fine, you guys. It's really, don't even worry about me. Okay. But all that to say, like, talking through it, sending energy, it's like I'm sending a superhero to go and help with these problems that happened to me at one point.
Yeah.
And it's really fucking cool.
Yes. Yes. So do you find, because I want you to be able to, if there is somebody out there who's been curious about Reiki and maybe a little nervous, like I want you guys to know, like you can definitely ask us questions to pass on to Christine, follow her. She's also available to do sessions virtually, right? That's the coolest thing I think about working with this energy is that we don't have to be in the same room. We don't have to be in the same, dimension, right? Like it is kind of beyond borders like that.
Yeah.
And it's really, really special. So getting to work with you, like as a client, right? You don't have to be located where you're located.
Yeah. I don't have a brick and mortar anymore.
I love that.
I'm ethereal.
I
go where needed.
Well, you have definitely helped me. There's been many a long distance session that we've had, many a long conversation. You've really, truly helped me so many times. And I want to talk specifically. I mean, everybody who listens knows that I've been getting my ass kicked the past year and a half.
Right.
And who are we kidding? Like
who hasn't?
Like we're all out here. Right?
You're not special, Mandi.
No, I know. Thank you. I received that too.
Yeah.
But I think that, you and I have shared, because there's been dark times, right? Like after, you go from fitness and having like a certain fitness identity that's real big and very, prideful, right? And
like I wore it as a badge of honor but also as a mask. Like did you ever have clients or members that that they were like, they got to know you on a personal level and they were like, wow, I thought you had it all together. I was like, I play a really good sham. I'm a sham.
Yeah.
I'm just like you dummies.
Yes. I feel like that's definitely been my experience the past couple years, especially when, people listen. They're like, wow, you're actually kind of a bummer.
Bummer.
But no, it's been like, the past 3 years have been like ego death and transformation and having to let go of that thing. And even though people may not understand specifically what we're talking about under the certain umbrella, right? But like everybody's had something that they really like put all their, all the eggs into that basket and really like thought and believed and hoped and put everything into something, only to find out later they had to like release it and move on to a different path. And that is a hard transition in your adult life, right? When it didn't turn out the way you thought it would.
Right.
And you find yourself in those dark times. It really was the foundation of fitness and wellness and these like different, practices and habits that like helped me sort of tiptoe my way out, even still. Yeah. Kind of tiptoeing my way out of that. And I know you have shared with me that there's been, some of those times in your life and that the spiritual practices along with your fitness stuff has helped you. When you're coaching clients and helping people sort of tiptoe out of those dark caves, like what does that look like? Where do you start? Like give the people some tips.
For sure. I mean, like I really recommend that everybody does something for movement every day, right? The idea, I want you to walk 7,500 steps if you can. If you're walking 1,000, we'll make it 1,500. Like you've just got to do a little bit more, but movement is so pivotal in like how your brain operates.
Right.
I have a baseline of depression. It gets ticked up with like seasonal. So it's a non-negotiable for me. Whenever I don't move, you will see it in me. Like mind, body, spirit, right? So movement is, I always look at like somebody's wellness profile as like this French braid. It's what the French call.
It's what the French call.
Yes, I did it. Long-standing Home Alone joke. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out Macaulay Culkin. So
Buzz, your girlfriend, wolf.
So your French braid starts off with like your 3 core strands. And then as you weave it down, you pull in things from the side. And one of my core strands has to be movement. There is no way around it. It's got to be in there.
I love the way you talk about movement because you really make it feel like I could do that.
Yeah.
I hear what she's saying. I could do that. Like it doesn't sound like this big sort of intimidating like, oh, I've got to go do cardio or like, you know what I'm saying? Like
because when has ever somebody was like, never have I ever heard like cardio sound like something that they're like wishful for, right? Like I can't wait to do cardio. Now, I can't wait to go on a long walk outside in nature. Mm-hmm. Fuck yeah. Sign me up.
Exactly. Exactly.
And my biggest thing too is like, while yes, I need you to move. And of course I have my ideals, but I'm not following my ideals right now. I'm not in the gym minimum 3 times a week.
Right.
The idea is that it's got to bring you joy so that you actually keep it in and you start that ball of momentum. Mm-hmm. And that snowball so that, all right, 1,500 steps will eventually turn into 7,500. I promise. It's just, I don't know how long it's going to take and you don't either. And that's okay. It's not, how long did it take for you to get in this state that you're in right now? Mm-hmm. It should take at least that time. If you work with me, it won't. But right. There's a dedication to this whole practice, right? So movement's got to be in there.
Okay. So that's the first part of the braid.
I would say, yeah.
Movement.
I'd say, yeah, it's pretty pivotal. There's a whole mess in nutrition that, it's a mixed bag for everybody. I don't prescribe one diet or one way of doing it. There's so much out there. Again, it's got to work for you. I am a big believer in listening to your body and like, to get real, like if broccoli's making you fart a ton, like maybe broccoli's not for you, dude.
Yeah.
It's okay.
If broccoli is a like upsetting, unpleasant experience, you get Coach Christine gives you permission to bail on it, guys.
And so do your coworkers, because nobody likes microwaving broccoli in the microwave.
Amen. Listen, as a sidebar real quick, one of the guys I work with asked me to make him a tuna casserole. He's like, oh, I haven't had tuna casserole in 500 years. Just like my mom used to make. I'm like, I could fucking whip you up a tuna casserole, bud.
Do you know that I've talked about tuna noodle casseroles a ton in the last week?
Stop. That is got to be a signal.
Thank you, Spirit.
It's got to be a sign. Look up right now immediately the spiritual meaning of tuna casserole.
Tuna noodle casserole is my spirit animal.
Actually looking it up. I'm just kidding.
It's my totem animal.
But no, listen.
Do you think there's something on this?
I dare you to look it up. There might.
I would do tuna.
Maybe
if
like
there's a spiritual meaning to the tuna fish.
Meaning of tuna in a dream, or the tuna fish. Actually, God, it's gonna be some kind of crazy thing. We're gonna die. But while Jesse's looking that up, so I made him his own pan of tuna casserole in like one of those aluminum like cake pans.
Sure.
This motherfucker ate the whole thing
at lunch,
like throughout the day. Just like had a fork in it and would just take like several bites.
Did he have like a fork in that and just like the biggest smile on his face?
Oh yeah, he was pumped. But
that's so cool.
But everybody was pissed because it smelled like tuna casserole like all day at the factory and just like not the vibe.
Where you want to smell tuna.
I'm like, we got a bird problem in here, dog. Like, let's cover that up. Jesse? Oh God, here we go. Look at Jesse about to deliver the message.
This is so good.
You're a channel. Let's go. Wow.
This is the meaning of tuna and their symbolism. In Native American culture, tuna symbolizes good luck and abundance. The fish is also associated with strength, courage, and perseverance. Tuna is also a popular totem animal. A totem is an animal that is revered and respected by a particular group of people. In some cultures, it is believed that a person can take on the qualities of the totem animal. Some Native American tribes believe that tuna are the reincarnated spirits of their ancestors. Mic drop.
What?
Wowzers.
Oh, gosh dang it. See, we can't. This is what happens, you guys. It could be mental illness. I don't know because it just doesn't stop. Okay? Anyways, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but
Tuna noodle casserole, warming stuff up in the microwave.
Yeah, you were talking about nutrition.
Yep, broccoli makes you fart. Got it.
Thank you. Full circle moment.
Right.
That was perfect. Okay, so we have
with that said,
freedom with food is more of your approach, which is what I love because I think
hope so.
Well, listen, we talk about this a lot, but I think that somebody who obviously had to sort of like lean in and dig through my disordered eating patterns and behaviors, I definitely learned about myself that I could not have a very rigid like meal plan to stick to because like the restriction would like trigger me into my like just like unhinged binge behavior.
Yep. Yeah.
So I've actually found more peace and more consistency and more like I fall more like aligned and I feel like more in control of my food when there's not like this big scary like thing to do.
Yeah.
And I find that like when I'm feeling really good about that, everything really falls actually more into place.
Right.
As if I were like logging my food every single day and all that stuff. It kind of happens naturally when I give myself more freedom.
Yeah.
And that's kind of hard to sell to people who are results driven, right? Because
can I stop you there for a second though? Because like results driven, because that's all we know, that we think that restriction is the answer and that I have to punish myself because I've let my body get so far from what I thought I wanted.
Yes.
And it's more of like this, I'm chastising, I'm slapping my wrists, I'm following this restriction when like there's so much else going on.
And I feel like when the food is handled that way, right? In that energy of slapping the wrist and you're always in like a deficit with yourself. And you're always like, oh, can't be trusted.
Right.
Like, oh, don't leave me alone in here with that cake.
Yeah.
Because I can't be trusted. And it's like, when you really think sometimes about how we talk about food, like, oh, no, I can't do that. I'm trying to be good. Or, oh, that's bad.
Right.
And then knowing what we know spiritually about the words we say.
Right.
And it's, like I said, it's a gateway drug. You can inevitably, like doing the spiritual work will, sort of find its way to you through the vehicle of fitness, I think.
Right. It's really fascinating too, because societally, we're made aware of food in our bodies at a very young age through commercials, through all of it. Right. And then like my parents did the best that they could. Shout out Winnie and Chris. But like their parents didn't know how to eat. So they didn't know how to teach my parents how to eat.
Right.
And then in my mom grew up in a time where you were always skinny, right? Like she was a tiny little twig. And at 12 years old, I was in my first Weight Watchers meeting. But that's not because I knew I was overweight. It's because she thought I was, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So then like I brought that through my adult life and thinking I was always huge. And like, listen, there were times where like, yes, the scale was definitely not in my favor, but I looked back at pictures as a kid and like, I was cute.
Isn't that wild? How you can look back and just be like, why did I hate myself so much? What the fuck?
Right. And it was all because of something that was put on me. And then again, how did you correct it? And it's like either diet or exercise. And they were punishments. They weren't celebrations of what your body could physically do or rewarding yourself or feeding your body the energy that it needs to exist.
Yeah, like nourishing your body versus feeding it. Or you know what I mean? I totally get that.
Yeah.
So you would consider like the nutrition part the second cord of your braid?
Yeah, it is. But like, again, I don't want people to hear nutrition and think that I'm going to put you on a plan, right? First and foremost, I don't have any of those credentials. So absolutely not. Liability. No, thank you. But I think, it's definitely in my intake questionnaire where we talk about your relationship with food. When were you first made aware of your weight? When did you first feel that it was a problem? If I recently talked to somebody and it's clear that there's disordered eating going on. And I said, I can't help you, but I know this person that can. I will work in tandem with that person, right? Because like, okay, well, just because like I can't not be your coach just because you have that going on, right? We're going to work around it and customize and grow and adapt.
Got to build a team for that person.
Yes, right. And it shouldn't all, right? I mean, how much trouble like would I get myself in terms of like energy wise if like I was trying to be that person for everybody, right? Like I can do it all. No, I can't. It's so much more fun to collaborate. But yeah, I mean, the nutrition is huge. But again, we look at it as like fueling your body, nourishing it, giving your body what it needs and deserves. And that's it. Like milk's not great for me. Whenever I do, I don't feel great. So I have to limit it. And it's not a punishment that I'm trying to save on calories. It's because my joints hurt when I have milk.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's so good.
So there's many ways that we look at food, but I think like I think it's more about like, let's talk about like your relationship with nutrition rather than like nutrition itself.
Yeah. Like it's not, here's a plan. It's let's investigate this.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What is the third thing then? The third throng. I'm going to call it a throng.
For sure. It's at this point, and for a while now, it's been mindfulness. Taking pause, taking account, waking up every day, saying 3 things setting your day up and the table by like saying 3 things you're thankful for. Again, creating that like gratitude snowball. Journaling if that fits for you. Drawing if that's your mental mind game, right? Like there's so many different ways. Like I don't need you to go out and buy a journal because if that were the case, you'd see my stack of 30 by my bedside that are all like 2 or 3 pages in.
Yeah, I was going to say 5 pages in.
I'm like, this is it. This is the time. And it is certainly not.
God, I love a crisp new journal though. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, right.
I love to buy one.
With just the right pen. Oh,
listen,
my goodness.
Gosh, a G2? Get out of here.
Wow. Blue or black?
Blue.
Yes. Okay, great. Now that that's settled.
Amen. Thank you for coming on Spill Your Guts.
Thank you.
Okay, so if anybody wanted to like lean into your DMs, ask you for your coaching services, this is what they could expect. These are the kinds of things that you are helping people and providing people with.
No doubt. Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on here to spill your guts with me.
Is it already over?
We're already there. We're an hour in.
Wowzers.
Can you believe
Dak
it?
Shepard talks for like 2 hours, you
Dude,
guys.
I
Let's
know. Listen.
Go.
Well, Jesse's already freaking irritated with me over there.
I'm not irritated. I'm just saying it is very hard to go 2 hours. That is a very skilled individual.
Who has to be skilled, Mandi?
Probably,
right?
And
like,
listen,
is it on the host that needs the skill set?
Well, we can talk about this off air.
It's a good question, Jesse.
That's
you're
like, hold on.
in the hot
seat.
I don't want to be in the interview process right now.
Jesse, tell us about your childhood.
I know. That really.
We're going to need more than 2 hours.
No, Christine, listen, thank you so much. Do you have any final thoughts? Any like final statements? Anything that's burning in your soul and your hearts you'd love to spill your guts about before we say au revoir, as the French say?
Which is also what the French say. Yeah, I mean, it's my wish for people to like find their most authentic selves and be able to like really be truthful, because I think that's when the magic starts happening. Yes. So I don't know if it's just my final wish for your audience. Like, I hope you find authenticity in yourself.
My goodness. Are you open? Are you open for people to come follow you, to book a session with you?
Fuck yeah.
How can they do that? Where can they find you? You want to give a little shout out?
I afford everybody the ability to have like a free consultation with me. This is so cool. This is the first time that I'm like announcing my goddamn website, y'all.
Oh my gosh.
www.
We got to hit her with a sound after this, Jesse. Get ready.
Is there a fun button?
A tuna sound.
We don't pre-plan that well.
Okay. www.christinemcdonough.com. ChristineWMcD.com, Christine with a CH. That's my website. That's also my IG handle. It's my @Gmail. I'm trying to keep it tight, y'all. Like, find me. Send up the beam.
Yes. That was so good. That was so good. Thank you so much. Listen, you guys, you don't want to miss out on working with this girl. Obviously, you've heard how freaking dynamic she is, how passionate she is talking about this stuff. So if you need a little extra help, a little extra push, a little extra coaching, slide in, get with our girl. You won't regret it. Thank you so much, dude. I love you.
Thank you. Oh, and I'm starting to host a free Reiki share every second Sunday of the month.
Oh my gosh.
And it's virtual. So like your audience, I'll make sure you get the link for it. But that way, if you want to experience Reiki, I record them. I send out the meditation so you can access it later. I got you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. We love you.
Thank you so much for having me.